And welcome to the Power of Man podcast, everybody. My name is Rory Paquette, but you already know that. I am, as always, your very grateful host. That's right. I used to be humble. Now I'm grateful. Surgery that almost kills you will do that to you. Before we get going today, I do want to thank everybody. We have had an unbelievable outpouring of messages, get wells, prayers, so on and so forth, that have come our way. And I just want to thank everybody for that. I would not have gotten through all that stuff without it. And I am eternally grateful for every one of you. So my voice is not quite back up to snuff. That happens when you get trached like 4 different times. So we're still working on getting that voice back, but bear with me. I'm even trying to drink tea tonight. So don't make fun of me. It's tea. I'm doing what I can. I'm not going to tell you that it's peach because then you'll really want to throw me out the window. All right, but thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart. So let's get to the business of the day. We have a very, very cool guest with us tonight, a guy that I just met, getting to know, the founder of American Fathers, life coach, Jon Fortenberry. Jon, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Roy. Thanks so much again for having me on as a guest. I appreciate your time.
No, not at all. I appreciate yours as well. And Jon, I appreciate you just being willing to jump on. I mean, I just contacted you a short time ago and said, "Hey, you want to come on?" You were like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I appreciate that, and appreciate your willingness to come on and share your story. Now you have the IG account American Fathers, and I believe it's American underscore Fathers. But if you just search American Fathers, you're going to come up. And
hmm
tell everybody here a little bit about what that account is, what you do there, and hey, if you feel like it, maybe why.
Yeah, so the name, first of all, American Fathers. I used to have the idea of doing an online personal training. I have a little bit of background in being a personal trainer for some local gyms and a little bit on my own. And over the years, I saw the value in being able to do more of that online. But I learned more about, personal branding and really the importance of telling the experience that I have in life that can help others more than just, the run-of-the-mill personal training. And that is, hey, I've been through family court, mayhem for most of my oldest child's life. She's 15, and I thought, hey, I learned a lot of things along the way. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I can give this information to others, and really just help minimize the damage for anybody else going through it or thinking they might go through it or who's been through it for a long time. And so, also looking back, I'm as I grow in my own personal development, I realized the mental health benefits of just basic self-care, which means moving your body and consuming things that are healthy for you on the very basic level. As a young guy, I used to like to try and superficially wanted to be Mr. Muscle Man, but looking back, I realized how much it probably saved keep me in a good headspace. So I formed a little bit of that together, and I think it was September of 2023 last year. I thought I should give a name that tells a little bit of a story behind the boots on the ground of American Fathers. So I realized that's kind of a brandable name. I checked around; it was available to my surprise,
Right.
and I am, I'm just on my own journey of sharing in a better format, a little my story and supporting others, figuring out kind of how to do that along the way. But the main thing is just support the story of what a lot of American fathers really go through or are susceptible of going through at any minute, because it can be really a big blind side for anybody who's never heard about it before. And it can be a good help the more I articulate my own story for people to realize I see the benefit of understanding another guy's been through a lot of hard stuff, and hey, if he's been through worse than I've been through, it can help others, feel better about what they're dealing with. So hey, coupling that with a couple of the apps that provide for online personal training, Trainerize is something that I use. It gives you a video of how to do basic workouts. I thought, hey, put this together in a little program, which I also just offer to help for free, because you and your listeners probably know as well as I do. Most of the time, guys are completely down and out, homeless, like I have been. So I wish I had people to talk to, and I really didn't. So I say, hey, come talk to me anyways.
Yeah.
Um, I have some programs I sell, 3 months, $750, workout program to follow along with, but also meet with me every week for, Zoom calls and in a community, in a group to say, here's other people that are aligned in the same path, could just share stories, lower the conflict intensity in everybody's life a little bit by, a community relationship and a little bit of guidance from my side. And really, I like the word perspective most of all because I don't want to make guys feel like they need to be guided or helped or advised with so many things by somebody who's superior to them, but just saying, hey, these are my mistakes. These are my thoughts on your current situation right now. I hope this can help. So we'll see how that goes. There's nobody in the group right now. And that's fine with me. I'm just going to keep on going for it because I think it's something that can be helpful. I had somebody in a year ago, but he just came in for the mindset meetings and he didn't even have a family yet. And but turned out to be a good friend of mine. And yeah, just always open to more. I think it's something that's beneficial, and we'll see where it goes.
I love that. I mean, that's a lot. So let's start unpacking that in
Yeah.
pieces. All right. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. And let me applaud you for, even in our prelim before we started recording, I mean, everything about you is just, wanting to help, wanting to put it out there, wanting to be there for somebody else. And I mean, that's how I started this podcast. That was what it was all about, almost 5 years ago at this point. So it was, when I went through all of my stuff, there was no hand there. I had to go through it all alone. And so I said, look, I'm not going to let that happen to somebody else if I can help it. If I can help one guy, and I get that vibe from you. If you can help one guy, then it's like it's worth all the posting and the doing.
Absolutely. Everybody's important. Yeah, the more I learn, the more I realize that dynamic, the social dynamic's not always available to men. Um, and I care about other people, but I also, as a father, and it really fits into the relationship here is I care about the kids. So I'm helping people, helping kids, future families, and the future of the world. Really, are it's starting at arm's length. Local community, the country, however you want to look at it. People all over the world are going through it.
Right. Well, and let's go ahead and go that direction a little bit. We'll come back to the other, stuff for sure. But you and I have a mutual friend in Alan Donovan. Fathers' lives matter and so on. So I've been through the family court system. And that's how he and I met. You have been through the family court system,
Oh yeah.
and it was not the most pleasant opportunity or experience, I take
Oh
it.
no. Oh, not at
Yeah.
all. Yeah. I have 4 children, and my oldest is 15. They're all girls, and
Wow.
my oldest was born in 2009. I was 20 years old, and so um, within 2 years, especially it's obvious looking back at a young age, it's very easy for things to fall apart if you're not really prepared. And we went straight into family court by 2010, and I swear we probably had, including temporary orders, probably 16 court orders. More than I'd say. I almost want to say it close to 100, but I'll say safely over 50 to 60 different court proceedings. I had a lawyer for a brief time. I've experienced homelessness, as a lot of guys do. Currently, right now, I haven't seen my 15-year-old in over 5 years. I text message her, and we have a close relationship still, but that's really all I can do at the moment. So I've been through quite a lot. I've been through false
Wow.
allegations of domestic violence, and that was the beginning, and the silver bullet. Um, we weren't married, but it still works pretty much the same. So I've
Right.
been through supervised visits on multiple occasions, and currently that's basically what I'm at right now. And then um, I've been through, mom, the other parent, mom not showing up with visitations, or playing the games of keeping my child inside for an extra 20 minutes or not being at a location, not phone calls, and especially, oh my gosh, just not following the court order, not getting the support from a ton of contact initiated by myself with law enforcement. Really seeing took a long time, sticking it through and staying positive, not doing anything permanent, out of anger has led me to be able to get a better bird's eye view and a positive perspective overall.
Wow. I mean, that's going through it. I'm sorry to hear about that with your daughter, man. I know that's got to just be insanely tough.
It's gonna be okay. It is insanely tough, and that's where, I agree with you. If we can help others, there's power in storytelling. It's an age-old benefit for
Yeah.
mankind, just storytelling and being honest, transparent, sharing experiences can really help people. So, but yeah, my daughter, she knows what's going on. We've been very close her whole life, and that we're gonna be all right. Part of it is there's a lot of time that we're never gonna get back. However, there's a lot of time in the future, and being a parent is it's a lifelong commitment.
Right. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
mhm.
The now let me ask you this: when you were going into this, when you were heading into family court for the first time, did you have any inkling of what you were walking into, or were you blindsided by it like most of us are when you walk in the door thinking you get a fair shake?
Well, that's it. I believed in justice. I believed in having a conversation, whether it was a police officer, a judge, an attorney. I learned the hard way through all of that. Um,
Yeah.
Being upfront and honest and say, I thought I was walking into a place that was going to provide justice in the land of free, in the land of freedom in the United States, but it was totally blindsided. Um, However, I didn't even really realize to look back until I got older through this was I went through it just like a lot of others as a kid. And I didn't really understand analyzing that or putting two and two together. I've never heard the word domestic violence before. I thought, hey, I'll go in there, say my piece, and even without court in mind, we'll just be co-parent. Respectfully was my initial thought. Even at 20, I think I was 21, uh, freshly 22 years old when that got started. I'm 35 now.
Yeah, that's the idea that a lot of us have when we walk in the door for sure. But now you mentioned that you had a lawyer for a short time. What made you stop having the lawyer, if you don't mind me asking?
Number one was money.
Sure.
Of course, it wasn't really overall a positive experience. There was some benefits. So the petitioner, respondent, and the court, we got our court case reference number in late 2010. But it was 2015 the first time I got an attorney. Maybe lasted 6 months. Only afforded 2,000 for myself and $2,000. I was the first one to get an attorney. A wild turn of events in my case or my experience is my mother is actually kind of an alienator type mother herself. And I realize it's actually fairly common that, in my experience, the male or the male's mother will be involved helping the ex's, intent on the case. So just in brief, we could go anywhere, but when I did the work to get my own attorney, my mother went and handed 5,000 over and got an attorney for my ex against me at the time in 2015. And I didn't learn this until 5 years later. So
Wow.
there's always new things to learn looking back. Wild.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
got to be a rough Thanksgiving sitting there across from mom after that happens.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Where do you go from there? I'm sorry, I have to ask that. You don't have to answer if it's too
I'll answer
personal, but
anything. Yeah.
what do you say to your mom at that point when she's done that? I mean,
And I didn't even learn it until 5 years later, and that was right during the pandemic, and I was in the middle of another huge trial, the same stuff, going back to court again. And uh I've had a lot of rough patches with my mother, and even still, I have more kids, and I It's awkward, there's a lot of hard feelings there, but even to this day, she can walk into my house and visit, with my kids and stuff here. I have my guard up, but I'm quiet, about it. I kind of, here's the thing is I realize we can realize in even relationships that we're still in or that, my marriage right now, sometimes, and not to drag on my wife at all. I mean, she's amazing, but in any relationship, or sometimes you may, male or female, you may realize your partner or any type of person may not ever give you the closure that you need or have the conversation that you feel is right. I realize I'm not going to get that out of my mother.
Hmm.
So if she ever is able to talk about that, I'd love to, but she'll just kind of turn it into an argument, shut it down, or something real quick. So I pushed on it a few times when I first learned about it, but I could see I'm not going to get any type of closure I would like out of it, so I don't engage it.
Right. Yeah, it's either let that go or let the whole relationship go, right?
Yeah, and
Well,
yeah, I'd hate to say I'd let my relationship with my mother go. It's not something I'm almost indifferent. I'll take care of her if I need to, but at the same time, we still to this day I don't call her, talk to her much. There's not much of a relationship, but I allow the relationship with my kids as long as she doesn't try to do the same thing. But my guard's up. My wife knows about it, and just kind of let it stay in the background just a bit.
yeah. Now, is it just your one daughter that you have with the other with your ex-wife and all the other kids are with your current wife?
That's correct.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. And you guys are fairly new together, is that right? I mean, your kids are younger, right? Except for your oldest?
Oh yeah. So my oldest is 15, born in 2009, and then my wife now we've actually been together. I think we're about to complete our 6th year together next month. Um, we had we did the 3 under 3 and COVID babies.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, we planned. So when I met her, it was great beginning of the relationship together. We got along well. She understood. I probably shouldn't have even been dating at the time, to be honest. Now that I look back, I should have been focusing on really trying to establish, myself by myself. I was still, dating, and part of it's, guys are looking for, that emotional connection, especially you don't have it anywhere else. So I
Sure.
understand that about it.
Yeah.
But we planned on having a child, and we did. This is my Helga right here, new little baby kitties. We did.
You folks
Crawling
that are on
on.
the audio, you don't get to see it, but his cat's climbing all over him right now. So that's
Brand new little baby kitten. She's an all black cat too. We
yeah,
actually have
I've seen
five.
her on your Instagram stuff. So
It's just popped up today, and yeah, we have five of them. Oh, it's too many, but I don't know. I couldn't say no with my three little kids, and my wife was wanting to get more. We have a big enough place, but yeah. So me and my wife, we actually planned on getting pregnant on purpose in 2019. Still, honestly, we weren't financially ready. It was an immature decision, but at the same time, I've always been a family man. I wanted to look forward to having more kids, and I was grateful for the relationship I had, and so we went for it. We waited a year after our first daughter was born in 2020 on purpose, and then got pregnant with a second one. Okay, she was born in 2021, and then we were going to take a break. Well, 3 months after that one, pregnant with a third, and they're actually Irish twins, born less than 12 months apart, the last two. So I had three more daughters.
and they're all daughters.
All daughters, all four. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's an odd blessing, because my first one, as you know, I'm sure it could be confusing for to hear the alienating behavior or down talking, which I've experienced. At the other home, it's really a lot of down talking on myself as a father, but when she gets to see that I'm a father to three more girls, and it's just been amazing. It's a blessing in that way. She gets to see. It's kind of hard to prove anything otherwise that I love being a father, and I got three more little sisters for her, so it's all been going really good.
I mean, I'm very happy for you on that one. My daughter is from my first marriage, and she's in her 30s now. So let me just throw this one little piece of encouragement to you. At some point they do figure it all out.
Oh yeah.
And it takes a little while sometimes. And, sometimes it's painful, to go through, and you have to let them do it sort of at their own pace, do it at their own speed. But when they do figure it out, there's a very, very strong relationship there. So don't lose hope. I mean, you don't seem like the kind of guy that's going to lose hope to begin with. You sound like you're very grounded in it, but just, from a guy who's been through it, I'm telling you right now that you do come out the other side of that as long as you keep caring as much as you can.
100%. A quick shout out to you probably heard of her, Maddie at the Anti-Alienation Project. Have you heard of her?
No, I haven't, huh? Sounds like I
Uh,
should though.
Amazing. And the Anti-Alienation Project, she's really just been doing her thing, I think maybe for a little over a year, but amazing young lady. I mean, she's just a little younger than me, but she was estranged from her father for about 20 years. From 9 years old to 29, she started figuring it out, and now she has a major platform, articulate everything very well. Highly recommend. And she's one of those people. She's mostly wants to help and support the adults who were alienated children. But I've learned from her, especially the vocabulary that you just used with me, is I've learned from her, perspective as the alienated child, saying, let them go at their own pace, let them ask the questions. So 100%. And it's nice to be able to share that with others. The idea in the beginning, I think, as a lot of us do, I've got all this paperwork, I'm going to show you all the proof, and it's almost just a waterfall of weight on the kid's shoulders. The truth is, have that stuff, but I'm looking forward to any day is just a nice normal day, and she can ask those questions when she's ready and let her take the lead. So
That's a great way to look at it. I'll definitely look up this anti-alienation project. That's something I want to check out. But
yeah,
anything that's going to help guys, who are going through this, the I felt the same way, because I was ready to prove, who I was and that I was right and everything else. And you have that stuff, but you probably don't ever end up using it. But have it in case she ever really wants to see it. You know what I mean? But honestly, these things work their themselves out. They really do. The kids realize, as they get going. And it's tough because no little girl is going to think that her mom is telling her a story. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
exaggerating or not telling the truth. And so you're never going to win that one, like
yeah,
until she's ready to hear it. And even then, there's not really an acknowledgement of, okay, Dad, you were right. It just becomes the relationship you always wanted to have. And you go, oh, good, we're here now.
yeah.
And you draw that line in the sand and you move forward. And you're like, you know what? We
Oh,
don't ever
yeah.
need to talk about what happened back here anymore unless you want to, but boom, let's move forward.
That and really thinking about it, that's the ultimate goal, anyways, is to
Right?
the
Yeah.
relationship to be healthy. Um, and my daughter, she's so smart. We were always close, even just right off the bat when I did the every other weekend visits and sometimes a weekday, for whatever order that we had at the time. And I was always there, very close, caring. She was a huge focus in my life. Even back then, her mother never let me call her, not a single time. Um, and
Man.
what is important, even at that younger age, but I never got that, but we were very close. And my daughter knows, she knows now. And even in, the text messages I send back and forth is I don't ever expect her to respond to anything. I'm happy when I get the little heart reaction on
Right.
my message because her and I both know if she says I love you or starts conversation or sends me pictures or anything, then her mom's going to make her feel disloyal. And this is a very common dynamic.
Right.
So luckily I've educated enough to understand that and I never push for anything more. And it's just, it's smooth sailing. We're going to be totally fine. She knows what's going on and she's very smart. I I don't think I'll get her in any trouble for anybody listening here, but even when she was 7, it's very sad, and I didn't encourage it at all. But she told me when she was about 7, I'm more mature than my mom, and you know, internally I kind of laughed when I heard that, but at the same time, which a lot of good parents will do, men or women, but especially a lot of fathers, I still said, hey, that's not something good to say about your mom. But yeah, even as far back as that, she's 15 now. But her, is so if you, I learned if I kind of sit back, even as much as I did then when I was still making more mistakes and the way I was going about everything, whatever it is in life, some people who have bad intent, they'll expose themselves, you know. So she witnessed her mom even back then with drinking problems and I don't know if she ever heard about the drug problems herself, but being drunk is pretty obvious sometimes even for young kids to see. So she had seen her mom do some of that, kind of ruined a marriage. Her mom was married for about 3 years, about 10 years ago, and that ended because of basically her mom. The guy was actually a pretty good guy, besides the fact of enabling the alienation.
Yeah.
Other than that, he was a good husband, good stepdad, and she just wasn't, good on her end. So my daughter really got to see a lot of that, and she's aware of things now.
That's good. That's good. And I really admire you for, talking about all this stuff because so many guys go through this stuff and they feel either embarrassed or um, powerless, like they don't have any value. They're ashamed of everything that's going on. You know what I mean? And
All,
you feel like you lost,
all
no
of it.
matter how, yeah, you always feel like you lost. And so we clam up, we hold it all inside. And you're at one of these guys who's out here talking about it for other
Mhm.
guys now. And that's so important. I mean, there really is. Have you had a chance to have conversations with other guys who are going through stuff like this?
I've been having a lot, and more and more over time, and especially since I keep the idea as I kind of put together what could be a program, that's coupled with basically online personal training and just meeting with me every week. I realized that I need to really just be about giving and be completely open to conversation. Some guys talk to me and I'll hop on a Zoom call with them for several hours and I just do it. I talk about I think I've changed the course of just so far getting started over the past year, maybe just a handful of, for example, like a guy I talked to, he said, and a lot of us have been through this. I'm sure I'm gonna meet my kid's mom tomorrow, Friday. She's demanding see my car insurance and my registration before I can have my kid. And he was very angry about it. I've been through it.
Right.
A lot of us have. And I said, look, man, try it this way. Have a smile on your face. And if you don't have it, which I understand, I've been through that too, responsibly show up in a different vehicle with somebody who does. But yourself, just smile and show it to her because he did have it. And save all of that problem, especially in front of your kid. He had a son
Hmm.
and he did it. So anybody with that experience, especially getting further down the road, understand like he just saved who knows how much issue
Oh, yeah.
by
That's great advice. The worst thing you can do is let them know that they got to.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I stood outside of the car and stuff before, like, I'm not showing you anything. I'm calling the police here and da da da. But I lose sight of what's the experience that the kid's getting right now.
Right, man.
Can
Exactly.
we walk away from all this right now? Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, stuff like that, and others, I just try to say, kind of, this is what I think about it. I don't want to tell somebody ever like this is what you have to do. If you don't do this, you're wrong, because nobody wants to hear that. So some of them, I talk to them, and they're still in the thick of, oh, I'm texting her pastor, I'm texting people at her job, and da da da. And I'll kind of indirectly or briefly say, hey, my thing that helped me the most was being very quiet. Kind of becoming an oak, and so to speak, just kind of let the stuff pass, don't engage. And that's brought the most benefit for everybody over time. I'm at a point right now, I haven't messaged my ex for over 2 years. We have the My Family Wizard app.
Hmm.
And and co-parenting is important, but if you're in a place of high conflict and it's actually for us, and I have another domestic violence restraining order on me right now. So any communication is like eggshells. It's very dangerous. It's, for our own protection, it's really backwards the way the harassment goes or can go depending
Right.
on.
Yeah.
So I don't engage at all. So when it comes to a risk, it's better to just basically say nothing but don't be completely gone. Um, I'm able, in my case, I'm able to text message my daughter, so that is where I stay present. And also, a huge piece of help is the age that we're in. Video is just the most powerful, say, marketing tool. Movies, video is huge. So I actually take advantage of sending 1 to 2 minute videos. My daughter sees my face, you
Good.
know,
Yeah,
basic stuff. I hope you're having a good day. Miss you, love you, and proud of you, stuff like that. So it's like playing chess. I mean, if you sit back and analyze, okay, I took all these losses, but I have this window. This is a huge window. I can send a 2 minute video. She sees my face. She sees her little sisters. She's never met them, but she sees them. She's seen them grow up. And I'm sure on the other side, mom's like, and she has taken action to kind of try and slow that down. But really, once I found that power in that, I'm very quiet. I keep it chill, and it's made probably just such a huge difference in presence.
that's great. And I've said this before on my podcast, but 90% of being a good parent is just giving a damn and wanting to,
That's right.
so that's great. I like what you're doing here, in a package sense, because, guys who are going through this kind of stuff need the other aspects that you're teaching also. When I was going through it, the last thing I was worried about was what am I eating? And am I working out and taking care of myself and, being healthy?
Mhm.
I let my health go to hell when I was, going through all that divorce stuff. And
Yeah.
I ate whatever the cheapest thing was I could find to get to the next minute. You know what I mean? It was just, nutrition wasn't even a word that was in my vocabulary. So I love that you're putting that all together, for guys.
Yeah, we're seeing it can almost get annoying online, especially with all the influencer stuff. And even with me, I'm like riding a fine line, not trying to go in that direction. Just being a look at me influencer and stuff. But I've been there in the past, and actually, what originally when I was with my first kid's mom, I grew up as a super skinny kid. I mean, I was like, people thought I was unhealthy through high school. I graduated at like 145 pounds, about 6 feet tall, so it's pretty thin. I started working out, and I thought I want to be Mr. Olympia. I really did, and I fully believed it when I had my first kid. And health wise, I'm glad I didn't go in that direction because I don't recommend any type of the drugs that are involved with that for sure, especially for the mental health stuff. But and a lot of guys just want to, when they're lifting weights, they want to maybe superficially they want to attract the opposite sex. It it brings in a different type of attention with your peers and stuff too, and even in positive ways, basic positive ways. This person's healthy. I want to be around this person. There, and you're healthier, you're happier. So I didn't know it back then when I was really just superficially wanting to be Mr. Olympia and Muscle Man. That it was really showing up to the gym and eating healthy kept me away from drugs and alcohol for the most part. Um, and it I mean, it kept higher self-esteem, self-confidence. And, oh, I know I'm doing better. I'm not doing, that bad. I feel really good. But the immediate benefit of finishing an exercise or just having good, healthy food in your body will just on the day-to-day basis and a lack of vices, drugs and alcohol will keep you in a if you want the best odds of responding to a terrible situation, you want to be sober and feeling good, you know. So looking back, I realized, hey, that was probably kept me through a lot of things very well, even though there were times that I drank, didn't really ever use many drugs at all. But yeah, I mean, just with the information on the internet, we can see that mental health is very much related to our physical health. So don't have to be Mr. Muscle Man, don't have to be a model influencer or anything, but engaging your muscle, taking walks, um, getting sunlight, eating healthy helps you be in a great place. It gives you the best chance to respond to life, whatever it is.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, now let's talk a little bit about that then. You regularly on your feed, you're giving full workouts. for guys to be doing. You're talking about nutrition, showing the stuff that you're eating. So, I mean, you're actually walking the walk, which also gives you a lot of credibility. It was one of the things I noticed about you right off the bat was that you're actually doing everything you're telling all these other guys to do, which is great.
Mhm.
But then, so that's the lifestyle that you lead is, eating that way and doing those workouts. Are those your workouts that you're showing them? Is that what it is?
And
Or are
they
you
are
just
mine.
suggesting them? How's that work?
Yeah. So my Instagram, American Fathers, in the story posts, this little story feed every single day. And I've worked it out to where I actually go to the gym every day. And that's just for habit wise. It's not really to go annihilate my exercise or anything. And I'm not doing anything crazy, but it's literally, if you watch it, you'll see, my own progress in sets and reps in there, or what I did for legs that day. It's a bodybuilding based workout, but it's the same thing. I mean, really, I would hope I'll do the same type of stuff. It's engaging muscle. When I'm in my 70s or something, I'll be doing the same stuff. So I have my workout I did that day. I post it every day, and the transparency, and it's cool, the ability to just be honest, and it holds myself accountable. I'll share, my first meal of the day, and really I'm having about two kind of large meals today. It's only about 2,300 calories. I show what I eat, and then I'll also talk about sometimes, like, the other day I ate Jack in the Box, and me and my wife got sick and paid for it. We really got food poisoning. I
Yeah.
mean, and I have three little ones, and they like to get Happy Meals. I don't like to have it that often, but I swear, like, when we get it, my wife gets something, and I'm like, I know if I don't get something, I'm gonna be mad at it and get a cheeseburger. Go ahead and get me a cheeseburger. And I'm not really that perfect with all of my workout routines. I'm not a super fit, you know, what could be portrayed on Instagram and stuff on so many platforms. In fact, I've only been in the gym consistently again for maybe another 5 weeks this past year. I did really good about a year ago, and then I started losing the muscle mass again. And overall, my issue is I won't eat. Some people experience different things, and then as a thin guy, my metabolism's still super fast, ectomorph type. I kind of just won't have the energy. I don't have any desire to eat the food, and part of that is, probably a lot of leftover depression and being honest as well. And even in my current marriage, I'm always trying to be very careful not to end up in another boat in family court again and missing three more children. So, um, over these years, I have not been super fit from, when I had my kid in 2009 to 2024. There was a periods of a year I didn't go to the gym, or 3 years from maybe 2019 to 2021. I don't think I went into the gym at all. And actually, I lost so much weight. I'm a little over 6'1", under 6'1". I'm under 6'1". And I got down to 150 pounds. It's very thin for kind of a taller guy.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not, haven't always been that consistent, but I know I'm like, hey, I need to return to this. This is the healthiest thing. It's going to give me the best odds. It sets a good example for my family, all of those things. So I haven't been so Mr. Perfect. I'll share that on my page as well. But currently, I show the food, talk about a little bit of it, talk about my workout. I show some of my books, in the story posts.
That's cool
Did
though. You're not sitting back going, this is, I've accomplished everything I want. This is what I did to get here. You're sharing your journey ongoing right now.
Yeah. And one thing is I went through, um, some people have heard of Wes Watson. You're
Oh yeah.
probably fortunate if you haven't. When I first discovered the guy, I and here's the thing is, like, I believed everything he said. Turns out he's not genuine about this prison stories, and he doesn't live the way he says he lives. But when I had found him, I thought, okay, I don't need to learn how to work out, but he knows something about making money as an online trainer, basically. That's where I ended up paying him 3,000 in 2023 February. And there, I went through plenty of red flags with him, but all that stuff aside, was I actually learned a system which he tries to sell like a blueprint is part of it to teach you how to be, how he makes money as an online coach.
Right.
So I picked up some golden nuggets out of that. Overall, I would not recommend it, and the guy's kind of going off the rails at this point. But the benefit behind it was, hey, um, get good at talking and telling your story, because everybody hears advice from every direction every day. There's everywhere to look. The most authentic thing that we can do after, studying with him, or I've even, watched Tai Lopez for years about branding, is we all have this personal power of our own story. Nobody can really take that away from us. It's the best way to be authentic, and people can listen because they won't get that story anywhere else. So it's taken me years. I look at my YouTube, you could see super awkward talking to the camera videos, embarrassing, and I'm leaving them all up there. Over time, I kind of learned to be more comfortable, tell my thoughts during the day. People actually, you think it's the dumbest thing. I mean, I do. I have that. I'll share my random thought on whatever it is, but it really helps other people. They'll listen to it and say, "Hey, I'm going through the same thing." Oftentimes, we are basic stuff.
Sure.
Um, so I learned that benefit from there. Tell my story, show up on the internet, be transparent, and it will attract other people that will relate.
Now, your YouTube, you brought up your YouTube channel, and I wanted to get to that, so I'm glad we kind of, came back to it. Um, it seems that you run that a little differently than your Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Because on your YouTube, for instance, I saw you basically giving a book review,
Yeah.
amongst other things, of course. I mean, you do a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, and on YouTube, so and Ty Lopez doesn't have the best name out there either, but he's certainly a whole different spectrum than Wes Watson. I still appreciate what I learned from Ty, especially in the long run. I saw, if you see this video later on this podcast YouTube, you'll see the books behind me. When I did that 67 steps program with Ty, I already valued books. I had a handful of them with me always. Even when I went through homelessness, I held on to some of my books. But I saw the books behind him, and that's kind of what's inspired to have. I got about 2,500 books here in my little home library, these IKEA bookshelves. Inspired me to do that. But personal development books, or kind of what I learned from Ty, is read the classic stuff, 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes in the morning, two in the middle of the day, and two at the end of the day can really change your life in a direction of reading if you don't have that habit. So I want to read to investigate reality, but overall, it's the more we learn, the more we develop. And learning the social media marketing before I ever met Wes Watson was give yourself the best odds by getting on all these free platforms, have basically the same brand name on every one so people can find you. And so Instagram is like a highlight reel. You have your wall and then little stories, which is a good name for it if you can remember. Tell some of your story on your stories, and then YouTube is more long form. People will be on YouTube ready to sit down for a while and listen and learn from something so you can spend longer time there. Facebook is kind of a hybrid. I actually don't use it that much, but I still post there and it still brings a little bit of viewers over. But yeah, YouTube is more long form, and not too much credit to Wes Watson, but he kept pretty consistent for a Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos for years, and he's still doing that. I had already had my YouTube channel, but I started following some of that. I'll do 3 speaking videos, just talking about whatever, my life or my stories a week. And but then I thought, gee, I have all these books I like to read. I've read a lot of them. Why don't I start sharing my thoughts on the books and kind of couple that together, because it's still personal development, and that's been pretty cool. It's been a good addition to my YouTube channel. So I review. I think I've got maybe about 100 book videos on there. A handful of them, maybe one. Then one of them behind me, I do chapter by chapter. But I also went through the Bible. I'm currently, completely honestly, I'm not practicing any religion. I grew up around Christianity, but I took the responsibility of saying I need to read this for myself to get the experience. So I went through the New Testament earlier this year and did book by book. I did a review on each one, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then through the rest of the I did the whole thing, gave my thoughts on it, and that was really cool too. It was a good experience. That's like a personal development powerhouse, actually. I still have a lot of good things to say about it. But that's what I share on there, and the more people get to listen to me talk, the more they get to know me, and so that I've seen it's hard to believe because I feel like I just started the other day with no subscribers, and all of a sudden I just passed 1,000 the other day. Not huge, but I'm kind of surprised I even made it there. But I just passed 100,000 views overall as well.
Nice.
So
You're doing
people get
something
to
right.
know you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
good for
idea
you.
behind it.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I mean that's what's interesting about the Bible too. I mean this is kind of a I'd like to say it's a Christ-centered podcast, in terms of,
Okay.
I don't make it unknown that I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I talk about God once in a while.
Uh-huh.
Had a near-death experience recently, so I talked about it more recently.
Very important.
But
Yeah.
I've been talking about it for a while, and so it's interesting to hear somebody say that you don't really follow a religion, but you were still interested to read the Bible. That's fascinating. I mean,
Oh
good for
man.
you, that you want to just
Yeah.
experience it.
I think it's important no matter what it is. I'm picking up in life is be careful what other people say. Try to look at the source yourself, and what we learned that from family law. I mean, not a lot of people come to us for our side of the story, and I thought I want to go listen to that side of the story myself. But my mother's father is a pastor in Ventura, California. He's got a doctorate in theology. Amazing man. Very proud of him. And so and I didn't grow up around him too much. I mean, I'm in Bakersfield, California, and so it's a couple hours away from Ventura. Um, but so my mother, started me off. Uh, I was like 7. She kind of walked me through asking Christ into my heart at 7 years old, and I was, pleasant experiences with, nice people. My grandfather was always praying around the table, and the family got together. I always respected that, and but going through the family law and not really, you could probably experience in a lot of churches. There's may not be a lot of hands-on, or I just wasn't open to hear it. Maybe, a lot of times people are telling us, but we didn't hear it anything yet. Uh, I didn't have a lot of experience reading the Bible. I didn't really get directly from my mother. My father certainly never. He passed away when I was 16. Um,
Sorry, man.
uh, yeah, I'll talk about all of it. But as far as Christianity, especially in the United States, the odds are you're probably going to be around it somewhat, and I was. I have a lot of respect for it, especially um, now. I mean, I've read, went through the New Testament myself and some of the Old Testament. Learning the personal development language, vocabulary, and stuff like that, leadership or the value in simplicity. I'm like, this is a powerhouse of personal development, the New Testament. And when I came down to the genius in simplicity, I can't remember the verses. I certainly do because there's some of my favorite thing to bring up is, well, this is smart because it said, I can't remember which book, but it said, if you can only remember one thing, it's brotherly love, basically. And I thought, well, it's the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, treat people good. And I think, how could I really argue with that? So I have a lot of respect for anybody that actually studies it, follows it, and in my perspective, I think if I'm going to talk about it, I need to be able to cite it. So, and that's what if if I was going to be teaching anybody, I think that would be most helpful. If I kind of was, that's what I aim to do. Whether or not I ever really, uh, I guess, lack of a better term, convert or anything, or really start following Christ more. Even still, I'm going to follow it anyways because it's such a helpful book. So I respect it, and I respect those who practice it.
That's a really cool way of looking at it. Yeah, it really is. You have a lot going on, my friend. I mean, you're building a really cool platform with a lot of different prongs, and I can't wait to see where it keeps going for you. I mean, you're well on your way with everything you got going. You got a lot of followers, a lot of views. It's really, really cool. I kept you a long time, and I really appreciate your time and your effort and sharing. And you've shared a lot of really personal stuff here today. And I know that our readers, our listeners, really do appreciate that. Let me ask you this before we, sign off, and I let you go back to those, three little kids you got over there. What's I guess what's one piece of advice you can give to somebody who wants to do what you and I are doing in some capacity? They want to go out, they want to help people, they want to share, they want to tell their story. What's the best piece of advice you can give somebody who wants to start doing something like that?
Ew. First, I guess I would try not to be so long-winded because I'm working on not talking too much, but um, going through it, I understand, the initial feelings of defeat, shame, real confusion, but first and foremost, and I like to say, try to do it vocally, go somewhere nobody else can hear you, say out loud to yourself, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to hurt anybody else, because that could mess with some people. Like, innately, what do I do when I'm dealing with this? And so, really, the idea is give yourself the chance. Don't do anything permanent. You will get a better perspective as time goes on, and you learn how to talk about the thing, especially safely. If there's any restraining orders, and a lot of people are dealing with that.
Sure.
Don't cross those lines. Don't contact directly or indirectly. And you gotta be careful what you say. I certainly do. I'm doing all this, and I can't cross any of those lines for another 3 years. Not that I plan to, but
Right.
um, we're just it's really like you said. I don't know if we were recording or not, but don't worry so much about the little stuff. I was just saying this recently. One of my book excerpts pointed me towards is it's a General Patton. What does it say? Patton on Leadership is a book. Patton on Leadership. And one of the pages it says he never used notes or anything. He just spoke from the heart. And really, there's authenticity in that. So you can learn to, if it's talking about getting on camera or sharing as a community, sharing stories, talking to each other, just start talking. Be careful what you say, but just go ahead and talk. Don't worry so much. And it helps me every time I talk about it. And I realize the benefit of having a little bit of that courage. You think the dumbest little things are worthless, but some of the smallest things can have a real big impact on other people's lives. So
Awesome.
go ahead and talk about it.
Love it. All right, Jon Fortenberry, how do people contact you if they want to, talk to you about what you offer?
Hey, the best place is Instagram direct messaging. American Fathers. It's American_Fathers, but you still find me. One thing I say to start a conversation, if you don't know what to say, just send me the word strategy, and that's really what it comes down to. You learn a better strategy, you can get through this stuff easier. Send me a direct message. I can't even pay for my website hosting currently, but it will be back up. It's not gone, but you can contact me through my website. My links are all over my YouTube. It's AmericanFathers.net, but it'll probably a 404 page right now, but it'll be back up in a few days or so. But Instagram, direct message me, talk to me there. If you don't know what to say, send me the word strategy or anything. Send me
Good deal.
strength.
All
We'll
right.
talk.
We'll put that in the show notes for everybody in case they didn't, write it down when you said it. But everybody contact Jon on Instagram. Jon, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it very much. I have a feeling you and I are going to be talking again in the future as things progress. You
I
got a
hope
lot
so.
going. You got a lot going on, man. I'm eager to see where it takes you.
I'm all here for it. I hope so. Thank you so much for your time, Roy. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you. All right, folks, we've had another awesome guest, another awesome episode of the Power of Man podcast. You guys all know what we do here. We bring out people who have overcome a lot of adversity, overcome obstacles, because we want to show you that if we can do it, you can do it too. The bottom line is, here, the rising tide raises all ships, folks. We're all here to try and help each other. That's what our group, The Power of Man Within, is about. So if you're not in that, check that out. It's on Facebook. It's free. Send in the application and, we'll talk. Other than that, the last thing I want to make sure I tell everybody is that you really are worth it. I know we close with this all the time. You're worth it. believe it, and so on. But these days, especially as it gets darker and darker out there, it's more and more important that you believe it when you hear it. All right. Do not let the bad days win. Until next time.